Good day, everyone. I am Ronald Alan Cayera, and I am going to give a critique of Dr. Jeffrey Uys' research paper entitled "Determinants of Career Change of Overseas Filipino Professionals." But before that, I would like to congratulate Dr. Uy for presenting this research paper, a very comprehensive dissertation on career change among our overseas Filipino professionals. And this was presented already to the faculty of the Graduate School, Philippine Christian University Graduate School of Business and Management in Middle East. And thank you also, Sir Uy, for allowing us to read the contents and give our insights to this paper. So, what are the most important parts that we need to critique? So basically, there are four parts. The first one is the structure, then second, the content, third, the preliminaries, and fourth, the appendices. So let me start giving my critique on the structure of the paper. So basically, the structure of the paper for me followed an institutionalized format on how a dissertation is to be presented. However, it is actually fairly confusing that the organization of the parts is entirely different from what I knew and read online on dissertation. Actually, the preliminaries were unique and the chapter method then followed. Chapter 1 presented the institutional parts relevant to the presentation of the study, like the objectives, the null hypothesis, the theoretical framework, the conceptual framework, the significance of the study, the scope and limitation of the study, and literature review. Then the second chapter presented also the data analysis and findings relevant to the objectives presented in chapter 1. And lastly, for chapter 3, it actually presented the general summary of the study, which included the conclusions and then the recommendations. As to the content, it actually presented the exploration of the researcher on the determinants of career change among overseas Filipino professionals. It also showed the recontextualization of the Rhodes and Dorwing's integrated career change model, which included important factors like organizational, personal, and preparation for change. It was clear from the content that this topic was not a simple issue as it attempted to study the career change factors, but there were only two important factors being emphasized, like individual factors, which include the values, the preparedness, the demographics, the motivation, the traits, the job satisfaction, and attitude. And second, the organizational factors, which include indicators like job security and salary. Overall, honestly, the dissertation content was comprehensive as it showed the objectives of the study. Overall, also, it was good, well-written paper with an important message for public administrators and organizations on the idea of career change among Filipinos because of better pay, too stressful, better work-life balance, wanted a new challenge, and no longer passionate in the field. These are just some of the reasons, as emphasized by Dr. Uy, that there were many Filipinos who actually shifted for another career. And additionally, the piece, when taken as a whole, was relevant and very convincing in the field of employment. But the process actually on the data presentation and findings was complex for me as there were processes that needed to be asked to the researcher. So if given the chance, there are questions that I would like to ask him as to how these processes were taken into consideration. As to the third part, preliminaries, what is distinctive with it is the inclusion of certificates. I actually love the idea of presenting the statistical treatment, the research ethic proposal, and summary of quality assurance tests. These are, however, not evident in some of the papers that I knew and read, since by institutional format, it actually contained title page, approval sheet, dedication, and table of contents. With these attachments of Mr. Uwe, a researcher is actually directed to coming up with relevant data, being treated appropriately by a statistician, results being reviewed and passed to the ethics committee, and the percentage should cover the overall performance of the paper, the plagiarism, and the similarity of the paper submitted. And lastly, for the appendices, actually they were complete. It showed the list of the statistical treatments done, like multiple regression and exploratory factor analysis. There was also an inclusion of the research instrument, certificate of completion, compliance to IMRAD, format research study, report and data validation of stakeholders, Grammarly reports, Turnitin report, confirmation of publication, peer reviewers form, oral presentations, and study found in Google Scholar and LinkedIn account. So overall, these were just simple critique from the paper of Dr. Uy. However, I found it very interesting to to read because this would be helpful someday when taking up, for example, business and management in the future. And for our overseas Filipino professionals, they might be able to consider reasons as presented in this research study. So I guess that would be all. Thank you and God bless everyone.